Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say may make some people uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it needs to be said. There is a lie we keep repeating in modern culture that attraction is only about age, looks, or how young someone appears on the outside, that younger women only want younger men, flashy lifestyles, six-pack abs, and endless excitement. But psychology tells a very different story. Real attraction doesn't live on the surface. It lives in safety, emotional depth, leadership, and presence. And that is where many older men unknowingly become deeply desirable to younger women, not because of money alone, not because of status alone, but because of who they have become over time. Younger women are not as confused as society portrays them to be. They are tired of chaos disguised as passion. They are tired of emotional immaturity wrapped in confidence. They are tired of inconsistency being sold as freedom. What they are secretly drawn to is stability without control, confidence without arrogance, strength without cruelty. The first type of older man younger women are drawn to is the emotionally regulated man. This man does not explode when challenged. He does not disappear when emotions get intense. He has learned how to sit with discomfort without making it someone else's responsibility. Younger women, especially those who have dealt with emotionally unavailable partners their own age, feel an instant sense of relief around a man who is calm under pressure. His nervous system is steady. His presence feels grounding. He doesn't turn every disagreement into a power struggle. He listens without preparing a counterattack. This kind of man feels like emotional safety, and emotional safety is addictive. The second type is the man who knows who he is, not because he read it in a book or copied it from social media, but because life has tested him. He has failed, he has lost, he has been humbled, and instead of becoming bitter, he became clearer. Younger women are drawn to men who are not trying to prove themselves, a man who doesn't need constant validation, a man who doesn't perform masculinity. He embodies it. His identity is settled. His values are stable. And that certainty creates trust without him saying a word. The third type is the man who leads without controlling. This is where many men get it wrong. Leadership is not dominance, it's direction. Younger women are deeply attracted to men who can take responsibility without becoming authoritarian. A man who makes decisions calmly, explains his reasoning, and welcomes input without feeling threatened. He doesn't need to micromanage. He doesn't confuse jealousy with love. His leadership feels protective, not suffocating. And that balance, strength with respect, that creates desire on both an emotional and physical level. The fourth type is the man who respects femininity instead of fearing it. This man is not intimidated by emotions. He doesn't mock sensitivity. He doesn't label women as too much when they express needs. Younger women feel seen by a man who understands emotional language, who knows that vulnerability is not weakness, but communication. He doesn't shut down when a woman cries. He doesn't shame her for needing reassurance. He understands that emotional expression is not chaos, it's information. And when a woman feels emotionally understood, attraction deepens naturally. The fifth type is the man with a full life. This is extremely important. Younger women are not attracted to men who make them their entire world. They are attracted to men who have purpose. A man who has passions, routines, responsibilities, and goals. His life does not revolve around chasing attention. He invites a woman into his world. He does not abandon himself for her. This creates polarity. This creates respect. And respect is one of the strongest foundations of attraction. The sixth type is the man who is consistent. Not intense for 2 weeks and distant for the next. Not emotionally available only when it's convenient. Younger women crave consistency more than excitement, even if they don't always say it out loud. a man whose words align with his actions, a man who shows up when he says he will, a man whose affection does not disappear when he gets comfortable. This kind of reliability creates emotional intimacy, and emotional intimacy fuels desire far more deeply than unpredictability ever could. The seventh type is the man who has learned restraint. This is rare and powerful, a man who does not rush intimacy, who does not sexualize every interaction, who understands that desire grows in anticipation, not pressure. Younger women feel respected by a man who allows attraction to build naturally, who does not confuse access with entitlement. His restraint signals confidence. It signals abundance. It signals that he is not desperate. And desperation is one of the fastest attraction killers. Here is the truth many people avoid. Younger women are not chasing older men because of age. They are responding to emotional maturity, stability, and presence, qualities that often come with time, experience, and self-work. When an older man has done the inner work, when he has healed instead of hardened, he becomes magnetic, not loudly, not aggressively, quietly, naturally. And this is not about manipulation. This is not about strategies or tricks. Attraction cannot be forced. It emerges when safety meets strength, when consistency meets confidence, when leadership meets empathy. If you are an older man wondering why younger women seem drawn to you, look at who you have become, not what you have accumulated. And if you are a younger woman questioning your attraction, understand that your nervous system recognizes what your mind hasn't fully articulated yet. Attraction is not random. It is responsive. It responds to emotional intelligence, grounded masculinity, and the ability to hold space without needing control. And that is why, quietly and often unconsciously, many younger women find themselves drawn to a certain kind of older man, the one who feels like peace, direction, and depth all at once. That kind of man doesn't chase attention, and that is exactly why attention follows him. He doesn't need to announce his value because his behavior speaks before his words ever do. Younger women notice this instinctively. There is something deeply attractive about a man who is not trying to impress, not trying to compete, not trying to rush outcomes. His energy is settled. He is present without being overwhelming, confident without being loud. Another layer people rarely talk about is how older men who have done the work understand timing. They don't rush conversations. They don't push emotional disclosure before trust is built. They know when to speak and when silence carries more weight. Younger women often feel emotionally rushed in modern dating, pressured to define things quickly, pressured to give access before safety is established. A man who moves at a grounded pace feels different. His patience creates anticipation. His restraint builds desire instead of killing it. There is also the way he handles conflict, not by avoiding it, not by escalating it, but by navigating it. Younger women are deeply affected by how a man responds when things aren't perfect. Does he become defensive? Does he shut down? Does he blame? Or does he stay present, listen, and respond instead of react? An older man who has learned this skill feels emotionally mature in a way that younger men often haven't developed yet. This doesn't mean age guarantees wisdom. It means experience, reflection, and accountability do. He also understands boundaries, his own and hers. He doesn't take boundaries as rejection. He doesn't push past discomfort to get what he wants. He respects limits without sulking or punishing. For younger women who have experienced manipulation disguised as charm, this feels incredibly refreshing. Boundaries handled with grace increase increase trust. And trust is the gateway to deeper attraction. Another thing that makes this type of man appealing is his emotional self-sufficiency. He doesn't outsource his happiness to a partner. He doesn't expect a woman to regulate his emotions, fix his wounds, or validate his worth. Younger women often feel drained in relationships where they are unconsciously placed in the role of therapist or emotional caretaker. A man who takes responsibility for his inner world feels like relief. Being with him feels lighter, not heavier. There is also the way he gives attention, not constantly, not obsessively, but intentionally. When he listens fully. When he compliments, it's specific and sincere. When he shows interest, it's grounded, not needy. Younger women feel seen rather than consumed. His attention doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like presence. And let's talk about confidence because this is often misunderstood. This man's confidence is not rooted in comparison. He doesn't need to prove he's better than other men. He doesn't feel threatened by independence, ambition, or intelligence. Younger women feel safer expressing themselves around a man who isn't secretly competing with them. His confidence creates room, not restriction. He also understands attraction beyond surface level chemistry. He knows that emotional connection fuels physical desire. He doesn't rely on constant flirting or sexual tension to maintain interest. He builds intimacy through shared experiences, meaningful conversations, and emotional attunement. This creates a deeper, longer lasting pull that doesn't fade quickly. Another subtle but powerful quality is accountability. When he makes a mistake, he owns it. No gaslighting, no deflection, no turning the tables. Younger women who have experienced emotional confusion in past relationships feel a deep sense of safety around a man who can say, "I was wrong," without collapsing or becoming defensive. Accountability is attractive because it signals emotional strength. He also understands that attraction grows when a woman feels chosen, not competed for. He doesn't keep her in confusion to maintain power. He is clear without being clingy. He doesn't play hot and cold games. Younger women are exhausted by ambiguity being marketed as mystery. Clarity feels luxurious, and a man who offers clarity stands out immediately. What many people miss is that this dynamic is not about dependency. Younger women are not looking for someone to replace their independence. They are looking for someone who complements it. A man who respects autonomy while offering emotional steadiness creates a powerful balance. He doesn't diminish her youth or energy. He anchors it. This is why the attraction often feels unplanned, even surprising. It doesn't start with intention. It starts with nervous system recognition, a feeling of calm, a sense of being understood, a quiet pull that grows stronger over time rather than burning out quickly. And this is where many misunderstandings arise. From the outside, people assume it's about resources or status. But inside the connection, it's about emotional experience. How a woman feels in a man's presence matters more than what he owns. Peace is seductive, consistency is seductive, emotional safety is seductive. That kind of man doesn't promise the world. He offers reality and stands by it. He doesn't create fantasy to hook interest. He builds trust through behavior. Younger women who are emotionally aware can sense the difference immediately. And the most important thing to understand is this: attraction to this type of man is not rebellion, confusion, or immaturity. It is often a response to clarity, a response to emotional maturity, a response to finally feeling regulated instead of anxious. This dynamic doesn't thrive on imbalance. It thrives on mutual respect, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. And when those elements are present, age becomes background noise, not the main story. There is also something powerful about how this man handles desire itself. He doesn't chase it like he's afraid it will disappear. He doesn't pressure intimacy to feel validated. He allows attraction to breathe. Younger women feel this difference immediately because it removes performance from the connection. They don't feel like they have to constantly impress, entertain, or stay on to keep his interest. His desire is steady, not anxious. And steady desire feels safer than intense desire that burns out quickly. He also understands emotional pacing. He knows that connection deepens when it's allowed to unfold, not forced into milestones. Younger women are often pushed into premature emotional closeness that later collapses. With this man, there is no rush to define everything before it's lived. He lets the bond grow organically. That patience builds trust, and trust deepens attraction in ways that instant chemistry never can. Another overlooked quality is how he handles silence. He is not threatened by it. He doesn't fill every gap with noise or reassurance seeking. Silence around him doesn't feel awkward, it feels comfortable. Younger women subconsciously read this as confidence and emotional security. A man who can be present without constant stimulation feels deeply grounding. He also knows how to hold emotional space without trying to fix everything. When a woman shares something vulnerable, he doesn't jump into solutions unless invited. He listens, reflects, and validates. Younger women who have felt dismissed or rushed through their emotions experience this as profound respect. Feeling heard strengthens emotional intimacy, and emotional intimacy fuels desire far more than surface level charm. This kind of man has also learned discernment. He doesn't give his energy indiscriminately. He chooses carefully, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Younger women feel valued when a man is selective. Being chosen by someone who knows his worth feels different than being chased by someone who wants anyone. Discernment signals maturity, and maturity is attractive. He doesn't weaponize withdrawal. He doesn't disappear to regain control. He communicates. Even when things are difficult, he remains emotionally present. Younger women who have experienced avoidant patterns feel a deep sense of relief with a man who stays connected during discomfort instead of vanishing. Presence during difficulty creates emotional safety, and safety creates attachment. Another subtle factor is how he handles admiration. He receives compliments without ego inflation or discomfort. He doesn't deflect or fish for more. His self-worth is stable. Younger women feel balanced around a man who is comfortable with appreciation without becoming dependent on it. His grounded response reinforces emotional stability. He also understands that attraction is not built by intensity alone, but by reliability over time. He shows up consistently, not just when things are exciting, but when they are ordinary. Younger women notice who remains steady after the novelty fades. Reliability creates trust, and trust deepens desire rather than diminishing it. This man also respects growth. He doesn't feel threatened when a woman evolves. He encourages her expansion instead of trying to freeze her at a version that benefits him. Younger women feel supported rather than limited. Being with a man who celebrates growth creates emotional alignment instead of resentment. He doesn't romanticize chaos. He doesn't mistake emotional volatility for passion. Younger women who have experienced high highs and low lows often crave emotional regulation without losing connection. This man offers depth without drama, calm without boredom, intimacy without instability. There is also the way he integrates physical presence. He is attentive without being invasive, affectionate without entitlement. His touch feels intentional, not impulsive. Younger women feel respected on a physical level, which strengthens trust and desire simultaneously. Physical connection rooted in emotional safety feels entirely different. And perhaps most importantly, he has learned humility. He doesn't assume superiority because of age. He doesn't talk down. He doesn't lecture. He shares perspective without positioning himself as the authority over her life. Younger women feel respected as equals, not managed as subordinates. Equality with indifference creates attraction without power imbalance. This is why the connection often feels surprisingly deep, not loud, not dramatic, just steady, warm, and real. It doesn't rely on adrenaline, it relies on alignment. And when alignment is present, attraction doesn't need to be forced, explained, or justified. It simply grows quietly, naturally, and powerfully. At the end of the day, this conversation is not about age, trends, or social approval. It is about emotional truth. Attraction does not follow numbers on a birth certificate. It follows nervous system safety, consistency, and emotional depth. When a man becomes grounded within himself, when he leads with presence instead of ego, and when he offers stability without control, he naturally becomes desirable, regardless of age. And for women, this is not weakness or confusion. It is awareness. It is the recognition that peace feels better than chaos, clarity feels better than confusion, and emotional safety feels better than intensity that fades. Desire matures when the heart learns what it no longer wants to survive. The strongest connections are built when maturity meets self-awareness, when strength meets empathy, and when attraction is rooted in respect rather than insecurity. That is not an accident. That is evolution. And the moment we stop chasing excitement and start choosing emotional intelligence, relationships stop feeling like battles and start feeling like home.